Hello everyone, welcome to my live series. This is Dr. Mandeep Saini, and in this series we will talk about your assessment, critical writing, how to write assessment, how to give examples, and several other things which is required to write any assessment. So the aim of this series is to give you a best experience while you are in the university and while you are writing your assessment or your dissertation or your PhD thesis. So this series is for all the students who are at undergraduate or postgraduate level and any PhD student as well. So a bit of introduction about me. I have been in UK since last 18 years, and I came to UK as a student, and I did 3 degrees initially, which is one is the foundation degree, then I did MBA, and I did MSc in logistic, supply chain, and procurement. After that, I did my PhD. Now, I have been teaching since 2008, and I have taught in several different universities. For example, university in the UK and university abroad as well. So I have been teaching, and I teach over 1,000 students every year in different modules. So my main areas of teaching is your dissertation writing, which is your research methodology and how to write. The other area is supply chain, procurement, logistics, and I have also taught construction management, project management in construction, and I have also taught other modules, for example, property management and real estate management as well. So I have a bit of experience in teaching, and with my experience I came up with this series that can help the students like you. Now if you have any question in between, please feel free to write in the chat, and I can see the questions in the chat box, and I will get back to you when I have answer for you. Okay, so now, so that was a bit of introduction about me, and now what we are going to talk about today: how do you start writing, where should you start thinking, and how do we learn? So when you are at the university and you are a student, so we need to think about how you can learn in the best way that can help you, not just during the university period or during your course, but later on as well, in terms of writing, in terms of thinking, in terms of whatever domain you are going for. If you are going for industry, so what you can, how that can help you later on. So that is a bit of my introduction and introduction of what we are going to talk about in this series. Now, the concept of academic writing. Basically, academic writing or the piece of assessment is all about showing or demonstrating your in-depth understanding about a particular topic. Now, for that in-depth understanding, we need to write a piece of essay, or it could be any context. You might have a context given by your tutor, which you are going to write in an assignment. So showing or demonstrating in-depth understanding is very important in writing. So how can you show the in-depth understanding when you are writing something in your assessment? So for that, we need to understand the concept of writing, and we need to understand what type of knowledge we are providing in our assessment. Now when we talk about knowledge, sometimes what happen, or most of the times what happens, students believe that knowledge is same as information, and they try to write information in their assessment. That is the biggest mistake. Now information, an example of information could be, for example, it is going to rain today. Now, that doesn't give in-depth understanding of that it is going to rain today, but why it is going to rain today, what is happening. So, that is just one example. For another example, when you're talking about what is the different concepts of in project management, or let's say time, cost, and quality in project management. So we normally start describing what is project management and what is cost and what is time and what is quality in project management. But what we don't do is giving the in-depth understanding what is the role of cost in project management, how does it work. So what is the what is the understanding based on how, if we play around with cost and time and quality, if we look at the trade-off between them, how that is going to work. So this type of understanding, we call it information when you are giving plain description in your academic writing, and because of that you don't get proper grades, or what you should get. Now, another mistake most of the students do, they don't look at the grading criteria and they don't look at the rubrics given at the end of the assessment. So we need to look at the look at the rubrics and the marking criteria. So the first thing you need to learn about, that is what is your assessment about. So reading the assessment couple of times will give you the proper understanding about your assessment. Now, what I suggest is you read your assessment one, make notes or highlight, then leave it for some time, then go back and read it again. When you go back and read it again, you will have a better understanding about your assessment. Do that couple of times, go back again, third time and then fourth time to get better understanding about your assessment. So before you do anything, as soon as you get the assessment, read it once, make some notes, then go back, read it twice, make some notes, then go back, read it again and make some notes. That will give you better understanding about the assessment or the questions given on the assessment as well. Try to understand what your tutor or examiner is looking for. Try to understand the questions and try to come up with an in-depth understanding of what is required for your assessment. If you got any doubt, go back to your tutor and ask question to them. That is also important. If you don't have any, if you got doubt on any particular question or any particular context given in the assessment, always go to your tutor, because your tutor has set up the assessment. Though your tutor is the right person to talk about the assessment as well. If you go to your friends, it is possible that they might not have the right answer and they might give you a wrong answer and you have wrong perception of the assessment, what is required. So now we also need to understand how we learn, what type of understanding we have to demonstrate in our assessment. So the first point is you have to go and read your assessment several times, make notes every time, highlight which is the important areas, look at the rubrics and also look at the marking criteria as well. Now, the concept of academic writing, to understand that, we need to understand what is knowledge or what is information we are providing. So as an example, we have three type of knowledge. One is personal, the second one is procedural, and third one is propositional. So three type of knowledge. Now the personal knowledge is our own understanding about a concept or whatever we are writing. So our own understanding based on our own experience. Most of the time personal understanding, if you just write your personal understanding in your essay or your assessment, that might give a superficial understanding, or that might represent a superficial understanding about that particular topic. Now, in that, we need to understand that you might have personal understanding or personal knowledge about something, but how relevant is that for academic purposes? When you are writing an assessment in academia, we need to understand how good that understanding is. But in academia, when you are writing your personal understanding, that doesn't give in-depth understanding. So to find out, or to look for, or to provide in-depth understanding on a topic or any concept, what you need to do is look for the procedural understanding. So I try to explain that with an example. Now, personal understanding, we all know, for example, this stylus, if I put this stylus on the screen and try to write something, it will write something, very simple. So, I am putting the stylus on the screen and it will write something. I touch it and try to write. That is our personal understanding. Now, the procedural understanding of that is that I need to take the stylus, touch it with on the screen and move it to write something. That is the procedure. That has steps. Pick the stylus, touch it to the screen and then try to write on the screen. That gives step by step approach of doing something. So that gives us the understanding of that, okay, that is the personal understanding that we can write something on screen with the stylus, but what are the step by step approach? Same thing, the same concept, you can take it when you are writing a piece of assessment or your essay. If you are talking about, for example, what are supply chains, then you just don't give the description or the definition that what are supply chain. You might need to think a bit further about the supply chain to give a proper context to the supply chain. Now, personal understanding and procedural understanding, that has a procedure. Personal understanding, that is our own understanding, own knowledge about something. Now, the propositional understanding, which is more in-depth understanding of something. So, propositional understanding is that when we know the actual proposition of doing something, how that work, what is the mechanism behind it. So, as an example, again, I taken the stylus. Step 2, I'm touching the screen. Step 3, I'm writing something on the screen. That up to here, it is procedural understanding. But when we go further, why this stylus right on the screen, what is the reason behind, what happened in the background, how it is sending signal in the on the to the screen that this is what you need to write and that is what you need to show up. So the proposition behind it, how things are working, why those things are working. I give you another example. So if we take it like riding a bike, so we all know that we go on the bike and we push the pedal and it will work, it will move forward. Now, that is our personal understanding that with the bike we can commute from one place to another place. Now, the procedural understanding is that somebody has to ride the bike and push the pedal, hold the handle, push the pedal and it will move further. Now, the propositional understanding of that, which is more in depth, that gives you a clear picture how that bike works. So, somebody ride the bike, push the pedal, pedal rotate the flywheel, it rotate the chain and chain rotates the back wheel. So, when the back wheel rotate, it will push the bike forward. Now, having bit more understanding about how actually bike work, that becomes an in-depth understanding. So, to find how we learn or what type of understanding we need to provide in our assessment, we need to think about those three type of knowledge: personal knowledge, procedural knowledge, and propositional knowledge. So, those three type of knowledge is all important. We need to think about how can we do that. So, that is one thing. Now, let us move bit further. That gives us in-depth understanding, but that is not enough to show the in-depth understanding. When we are writing assessments or piece of essay, we need to demonstrate that yes, this is the in-depth understanding, but at the same time we need to give examples like the examples I just given you about the bike, about the stylus. So, those type of example, but that should be relevant to your context. Those type of examples, providing those type of examples is also very important in your assessment. So, if you demonstrate in-depth understanding in your assessment or any piece of academic writing, at the same time you give examples, you will definitely get much better grades. So, if your aim is to get a degree with distinction, it is important that you demonstrate in-depth understanding in your assessment. At the same time, you provide examples as well. But that procedure does not stop here, and we will talk about how you can provide example, how you can demonstrate in-depth understanding of yours about the concept in other live sessions. So, the story does not stop here. When you demonstrate in-depth understanding and after that you provide example, you need to provide supporting evidence as well, because very simply in academia we do not rely on our own understanding. We have to get the views of other people. So, to get the views from other people, we need to search for literature or articles who have already written or talked about that concept. Now, we will talk about providing evidence as well in one of the session. So, let us say you got an assessment from your tutor, you read the assessment that this is the assessment about, you have made the notes and you read it several times. You also need to come up with a outline to answer each question given in the assessment. So, each question will have a different answer. For those different answers, you need to come up with an outline of those answers. So, as an example, I have taken an example of that. You are writing an essay on different type of coffees. Now, when you are writing an essay on different type of coffees, there are 8 type of coffees I came up with. So, first one Americano, then cappuccino, then double espresso. So, those are different type of coffees. So, your main concept is that you are going to write an essay on different type of coffee. Now, it is the basic understanding is that you are just going to come up with the name of the coffees and you are just going to give description of what those coffees are, or maybe a bit more detail that Americano has a bit of milk, coffee, and the procedure of making Americano is slightly different. Now, just describing that what is Americano, what is cappuccino, what is espresso is not going to give you better grades, because you are just describing. Sometimes the question is very simple, that write an essay on type of coffee, but that does not mean that you just restrict yourself Why with describing these are like 8 type of different coffees, and those 8 type of different coffees, americano is this, espresso is this, and this and this. No, that is not the right way. First thing what we need to do is to come up with a structured outline, that what we are going to write in our essay. That is important. So for example, you came up with 8 different type of coffees. The first one, americano. You are going to write about what americano is. Maybe you want to give a little bit of history. The americano was invented in so and so place. First existence was this in so and so year or date as well. So americano, what is it? What is the procedure to make americano? So the personal knowledge and the propositional knowledge, and then personal knowledge, then procedural knowledge, and then the propositional knowledge, which is why americano, why what americano requires, what ingredients are. And then we also talk about different views of the people, that this person said americano is this, but this person said americano is this. Give examples. At the same time, when you got 8 different type of coffees here, we need to sometime compare them as well. Compare what are the similarities in those different type of coffees, and what are the differences with in those different type of coffees. So when you give similarities and differences, the procedures, and what americano is, you are completing your assessment. That okay, you just didn't given the description, you have gone further, you have talked about the procedure, you have talked about the ingredients, you have talked about what are the differences between those coffees. So that was a very simple example for for your assessment, how to write an essay. So that was a very simple example. Now what we need to do is come up with a proper outline, how you are going to structure. So for example, again for americano, so you are going to outline what americano is. Okay, then you are going to talk about what are the ingredients, and then you might talk about the similarities of opinion and difference of opinion as well. So that might give a complete picture of what americano is. So if somebody is reading your assessment, they should understand properly what americano is, what are the ingredients, how can you make it, and maybe complete recipe of making americano as well. So that will make this this section of the essay complete. You're writing about americano, then you're writing about cappuccino. Again, then you will talk about what is cappuccino, what are the ingredients, what is the process of making it, and what could be the similarities, and what could be the differences, different views. Once you are writing, let's say you are just taking those 2 coffees in your essay, americano and cappuccino, then what you are going to do, you are going to look at the similarities and differences in both of those coffees. What are the similarities in americano and cappuccino, and what are the differences in americano and cappuccino? So that will make your essay complete. But still, now you have to give a conclusion as well, and in conclusion you can demonstrate your understanding based on what you have learned while looking at americano and cappuccino, while you were discussing about americano and cappuccino earlier. So This is the basic understanding of writing an essay, but there is still much more need to be done. That is a very simple example. But when we talk about some of the essays on terminologies like project management or artificial intelligence or additive manufacturing and other concepts, you might come up with more examples, that these are the examples here. These people are talking about artificial intelligence, and those are the similarities, those are the differences on in artificial or in the views of different people. So this is what we need to understand, and in this series we will learn all those step by step. Now it is important for all the students that they show in-depth understanding when they are writing a piece of assessment. If you need to get distinction level or first class honors degree, then you should follow all these things when you are writing assessment. So far today we have learned that whenever you get the assessment, read the assessment brief several times, not just one go over one point of time. Read it in the morning, make some notes, then read it in the evening, revise your notes, then read it next day, revise your notes again, and then read again and revise the note. Then you will come up with a better understanding of your question, and after that you try to come up with the outline of your essay. So once you have outline, you got a better picture of what you are going to write in your assessment. Half of the work is already done, I would say. Half of the work is already done. So once you understand your assessment, you know what to write, and once you make your outline, you got a better understanding about your assessment. In the next series, we will talk about more of these things and learn more about how you can write better assessments in the academic settings. To get a distinction level degree, to get a first class honors degree, it is essential that you learn academic writing, critical writing skills, giving examples, providing supporting evidence, and the clarity of arguments. This is what we are going to talk about in the next session. So, guys, thank you very much for joining me today, and I will see you soon. Please go to my website mandeepsaini.com and subscribe for the newsletter. Also, subscribe my YouTube channel and look for more sessions, live sessions in that way. If you got any questions or any comment, please type comment under this video, and I will get back to you. If you think there is any important thing you need to learn, let me know, and I will get back to you as well. So guys, thank you very much. Have a good day. Have a nice weekend, and I see you soon in the live session. Bye bye.